my years of ballet.
Ballet?
No.
Okay.
But you know what they say, like ballet girls, like standing super straight.
Yeah, great posture.
Well, yeah, they show you the posture, exactly.
Yeah.
When I did music in, in Quebec, we have the cégep, which is called. It's like we finish high school a bit earlier, but then we have this 2 year. So high school for us is just 5 years. Then we have 2 years of this other school, which is a bit more like university. It's in between.
Mm-hmm.
So 2 years, and then you go to university. So technically, I think you go to university 1 year quicker than us.
Oh, okay.
So
we
it's-
started 18.
Yeah, for us, it's more about 19. the
Same
close.
as England, right?
And
or
you-
they start a year earlier, I think.
And for me, when I did music, I did technique. So it's not 2 years, it's 3 years. So for me, when I went to university, finally another thing than music, but it's like for you, your normal process here, it's like 2 years later.
Okay.
But then when I was in music in Romanville, the city, music, it attracts people from everywhere because it's not a program that's given in every cégep,
Yeah.
So it's a bit different. So there was people from north of Quebec, east, west, even other provinces. It was in French, so there's other French people in other provinces in Canada.
Yeah.
And so at this place, the other program that was attracting people was dance.
Oh, okay.
That's the link I was making. And that dance program. So people like musician and dance people got along together. We were all living, with people from everywhere. So people have apartment right in front of that place. So we mixed up pretty much. And musician, there was a lot of boys. Dance, that was more
More
guys.
women,
So that was a good fit. So we have fun, and I have a lot of friends that are dancers still now that do that professionally.
Really?
Yeah, or I had people that I know that I studied with,
Yeah.
and it's intense. It's intense on the body, on the mind, everything. They're
yeah.
athletes, like
Dancers
I was
are
saying, the
athletes, yeah.
posture, but everything. It's rough.
Absolutely. They're
Yeah.
really fit. It unfortunately feels like it gets a bad rap in pop culture. Like, oh, you do dance like ballet. It's like, it feels as if people think it's for more like dainty people or something, but it's really not. It's a highly athletic activity, and and I don't know. I've never done it, but I have just danced for fun.
For fun.
And you get exhausted.
Yeah, that's for sure.
And to
that's for
do
sure.
it with technique and to be really effortless with it and be balanced with it and measured is not easy.
Yeah. So no, that was fun. Or we were playing for like their shows or things like that. Making music on not only tracks. So that was a cool collaboration. I like that. It's like when you or what I did also. Kind of the same, not the same thing, but in the same way to do it with someone that makes a visual or public things. I did it for improvisation, playing music with a band. So it's like two teams with teams, and people on a stage, kind of creating but what the improvisation are like the organized one. So you can vote and everything. So then we were playing, but as the person were playing on stage. So we have to go with her from the mood, understand what they're saying. So doing ambience and things like that live.
That's insane.
That was
so you're
intense.
making up music while someone's dancing.
We did that for dance, but we did that for improvisation. I mean, like comic improvisation.
Oh,
like
improv. Okay.
like a comedian.
Yeah.
So there were team and
Wow.
people doing teams. So
how do
when
you improv music on an improv comedy sketch?
you go with the flow, So if there's in a bar, you can do a little beat behind, just like there's music in your normal life. So you try to, but that was intense. We did that maybe with friends, and there were like professional shows. They were always inviting different bands. So with some friend, we did that maybe 4 or 5 times.
So you've done a lot of different stuff with drums, with percussion.
Yeah.
How long have you been playing for?
I started. I was 11, so I'm 35. So
35, okay. Let everyone know who you are and what you do. 'Cause
Yeah,
we
yeah.
already started right away.
I'm Julien Fontaine. I'm saying it in English, but in fact, the real name is Julien Fontaine. I'm from Montreal, so that's why the accent. My main language is French. So if you don't know Quebec, or maybe people don't know, it's the French. Like it's mostly French. Maybe 85% of the people there. It's their
85% are French.
It's their first
Language.
Language, yeah.
Okay.
So technically, it's the only official language of Quebec. So every road sign, every place is in French. And so basically, I learned English because I had it in school and I did a program, so I had more English. But people of my generation, they pretty much all speak English, but my parents, they don't really speak English. Like a few words, but like people would sometimes speak Spanish because they knew a few words. And,
Right.
But they cannot hold a conversation without a translator, you know?
So would you say like the millennials are like the first generation to have a lot of English?
Maybe I have a sister that is 10 years older than me, so she's just on the border of being the other generation, kind of. And they were good also at that moment. But like my parents, that was really less. I think they learned it a little in school, but it was different at that time, I guess.
And also it wasn't in media as much. Like you can learn English so much easier now in Canada because of the internet.
Yeah, Netflix, everything.
Netflix, YouTube, Instagram, TikTok.
You had still music. We listen to a lot of American music.
Even podcasts. There's so many ways you can hear English now,
exactly.
whereas 50, 70 years
before
ago.
you had to add that like an American channel or Canadian English Canadian
or you were
channel.
tutored if your family had money, maybe you get tutored privately.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So basically, I learned it there, and you've seen the accent, so I'll do my best because you kind of surprised me on that one.
How often do you speak English in everyday life?
In everyday life, I speak with Matt Bauer, or
my cousin.
Your cousin. So I speak with him once in a while. So for that, but like at my job, I have some customers that are English people. I deal with like a mother company that is American. It's a big American public company. So with them it's often in English. But we also like I was talking to Spanish things in the business, so I should learn Spanish. That will be my next goal. I would like to do that. But so I don't know, maybe once a week for like 5-10 minutes.
Okay, not often then.
No, really not. But and in a while, like I'm coming here and I'll speak a few I'll speak for a few days in a row, and or if we play video games together, I don't know, I'll speak with them. So I practice and I watch movies. Or,
when you watch a movie in English, is it easy to understand everything?
Depends on the thing. Sometimes I put the subtitles.
Okay, it helps.
But honestly, now the subtitles are more for. I have a 15 months old daughter. So when she's asleep, to understand better English, I have to maybe pop up the volume a little bit.
Yeah.
And I don't want to wake anyone. So if I can see it, it's easier on that. But mostly I can listen to them without subtitles, I'd say. But like there's always some accents or, old movies, things like that could be difficult. But I'm pretty comfortable in general.
Your English is really good.
Not too bad.
Especially for not using it often.
Yeah.
If you used it all the time, you'd be really good.
I guess so. I would have loved to. One time we met together. We known each other for
7 years. Yeah, 7 years.
Yeah, even I would say before that.
Matt's wedding, 8 years.
Yeah, and then even that. I think the first time I came to see Matt, which would be in 2012. I think we passed by your place.
Wow, did we meet? Did we
think
hang
so.
out briefly?
Yeah.
Maybe said
for sure.
hi or something.
Maybe you don't recall
so
that
many people
much.
come through, but I think he might have showed up with you.
because
that
he was
summer.
hanging out often at
You're
the
right,
Easy,
'cause,
you know.
we're doing the podcast, Friends with Music.
Yeah,
thing.
exactly.
Oh yeah, this adds up.
And 2012, maybe 13, I was on the Friends with Music podcast. We did, but it was in New Orleans though that we did it.
Right.
You were in
You
the,
guys did it in New Orleans.
yeah,
That's
or
funny.
maybe it was Gabby and I was with another person at this time, and we went together. But in fact, we know for quite a while. And I did, because I celebrated the wedding of Matt.
Yeah.
I had to produce, you know, a speech.
Yeah,
and
you
to-
were the officiator.
Yeah,
Of
yeah.
Matt's my cousin, and Matt was a pivotal person in DZ Fest. For those listening who don't know,
Yeah.
And him and I also had a podcast, Friends with Music, for a while, which Julien was on at
Yeah.
some point. A lot of people were on, hundreds of people, thousands of people.
Yeah.
And
Amazing.
then Matt, you know, he got old and had bigger.
He is old.
got bigger things to fry, and like families
Because
and kids.
do you know, in
stuff.
fact, why I met Matt?
How?
It's because I'm making the link towards you. How I'm here together doing that. All, you know, it happens there. But I went to Bonnaroo in 2010 with my girlfriend at this moment, and so we drove from Montreal. Went up to Bonnaroo, and then we were, you know, touring a bit in the U.S. visiting, and coming back to Montreal like a 3 weeks trip. But we were starting in Bonnaroo.
That sounds fun.
Yeah, that was
So
cool.
you met Matt at Bonnaroo.
Yeah, after like 10 hours of traffic, bumper to bumper, you get to a place that are like, I don't know, almost 100,000 people, you know, mostly camping there, and everything
Yeah.
is so big. Maybe I'm exaggerating, but it's really, really big. And he was my tent neighbor.
Wow.
On all those people, you know?
What are the chances?
Yeah.
So he's your tent neighbor, and 13 years later, you're in his
Yeah.
cousin's basement in Chicago.
Exactly.
Doing a podcast at
and
the
I did his
studio.
wedding.
And you were the officiant at his wedding.
So that's
And
crazy,
you
man.
played a show at my old studio.
Yeah.
And
with
you
my
did
band.
a live session.
Yeah.
And we never were able to get you to play DZ Fest, I think.
No, because the year after that, we were together, that band, for, I don't know, 5-6 years. We have an album.
Mr. Mojo Rising.
Well, yeah, Mr. Mojo Rising. The album is Rise of the Mojos. And so with two of my buddies, we had a saxophonist, a keyboardist too, that add up to the band afterwards.
He was
And-
wild.
Yeah, he's really good. Gab, he's a jazz
Character,
player. And
character.
oh yeah, I know he's.
You guys
so,
are all jazz players, right?
Yeah, we play. You know, I learned with rock, but when I studied it more professionally, if I can say, like you know, bigger studies than just a teacher coming at home. You know, every year. And when I did the formation, the class, I mean. I see it was in jazz, but then my roots, you know, are rock. So I just learned to put more triplets in my rock, I guess.
Yeah. So how long you been playing drums?
Since I was 11, so almost 25 years.
24 years.
Yeah,
And when did you start doing lessons?
pretty much. No, at the same time.
Oh, right away.
Yeah, for me, I don't come from a musician family at all, so I always had you know, a good interest in music.
Yeah.
But at the basic of all that, I think if I had to choose right now, and you know, I'm still practicing a lot, so I play a lot of drums, you know, I like it. It's an important part of my life. But if I would have to choose, I think I would continue the ability of listening to records. My main, you know, original attraction with music is listening to band, and then playing music was a way to participate in that recording, you know. And then I'm saying that, and I love playing drums so much and everything, but in the end, yeah, it's the goal to enter this this process of music. It's really fun. So yeah, I had different bands with the time. I did like you know, top 40s band in the time. Like there was a part of my time I was teaching and gigging and you know, earning my life with that.
Just playing music.
Just playing music while I was in university.
Where did you go to school?
I did accounting.
Accounting.
Yeah, I'm a CPA, like chartered accounting guy.
Really? Where at? What school?
I did it in a university in Montreal.
Okay.
Yep.
And
So
so you didn't want to study music?
I studied music like the cégep, you know. So I did 3 years there. And like I have no musicians in my family. No, that it's really that important. But I come from a business family. So my father had a garbage company.
Really?
Yeah. So
Like what did that entail? What did the garbage company entail?
like he had many trucks, and they were doing cities, compost, recycling, garbage.
Okay.
He,
That's not a private thing. It's not done, or that's not a public thing done through like the government.
no, some of them are, but at the time it was like government giving the contracts for the. There was a business part of them, like restaurants and businesses, like they have garbage too. But the public, so it was like a city giving the contract, or a few cities together. And then so you were putting the price and trying to win the contract.
Yeah.
And then so yeah, we had like 150 trucks and
Wow.
a lot of employees too. And it was family business. My grandfather started that, and
Okay.
now he's retired and he doesn't have it anymore.
Your dad?
Since 2009. But it was a big kind of success in the city and everything. So I had a lot of interest for that too. Like when I was younger, with one of my friends, I was like buying little tour of band and doing shows, and just renting the room, the speakers, paying everybody. But I was 15.
Yeah.
And doing shows with my buddy. Sometimes we made a lot of money. Sometimes we lost a lot too.
So you would put shows on.
Yeah.
How many bands would play?
I don't know, 3 or 4.
3 or 4. And so how many times would you do this? The shows?
I think we did it 4 times.
4 times.
4 times.
Why'd you stop?
I don't know. I was young. It was with that friend. I think the last time we lost a lot of money, and then we break even with all those shows at the end. But the last one was tough. For a different reason. We have some that was they were very cool. But in fact, the last one, musically wise, it was amazing. There were like old, how do you call that? It's kind of old rock and roll band, and but actual more like not. Anyway,
Classic rock?
No. Rockabilly.
Oh, rockabilly. Okay.
Yeah, like rockabilly band from Montreal. They were so good, and they were bigger bands. That was the time. That was the cost of it was way bigger. Like they were a band playing on the TV and things like that, And but they gave an amazing show, and everything was fun. But for 30 persons,
Yeah.
and it cost a lot of money. So I don't know. We were young, but we lost a lot.
Yeah.
But we had fun, and. I was linking with the business, so I already had a business side to it, even if I was liking music too. And so then when I finished Cégep, I wanted to go in university in drum. And one time I just told my father, I would like to come work with you at the company, maybe take back the company. And he just said, for a year we're like negotiating to sell it. So a bit too late. kind of.
Okay.
But I continued in university. I did accounting, and
So you were thinking about working for your father?
yeah,
But then-
I worked there all my life. I run behind the truck for a little while.
Really?
I did that when I was really young, but like at 14. And it was rough. I did it only one summer, but all the other time I was working. We had the gas station. I worked at the gas station for like 5 years. I washed trucks when I was like 11 or 12.
Yeah.
When when your parents have a business, often you start working there very young because they're always there managing the business. So you come, and I'm sure that people that it can be corner stores or anything. The family kind of gather there.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
That makes sense.
So then it was because when I say that, it's like music, and then teaching music, gigging, and then being an accountant. It's like it
Doesn't make any sense.
No, it doesn't make any sense. But for me, it did. Like
When did you graduate college?
University. I graduated in 2014.
14?
And you need a license to do that. So I had my license exam. And so, but I was already working, it's like study and work. And so I did like a master and to have my license.
A master's degree?
Yeah.
Okay. At the same school?
Yeah, exactly. It's kind of the way to have your CPA,
Okay, so you have a master's degree in accounting?
Yeah.
Can you count really well?
I guess so. But no, it's not about that. It's really interesting now. Like now, I'm more a manager, or I work for a family business that sells truck. So I'm still in the trucking,
Yeah.
that industry. I can feel it. I've been born almost in a oil change, like
Yeah.
in the garage. I'm kidding, but still, I can feel those kind of business. So, and it's family owned.
Nice.
They have the good values. They
Mm-hmm.
they cherish their employee, the business, the community.
Mm-hmm.
It's so I like it, and I think it's there's creativity to this thing. Like it's always project, and I'm helping the business owner
Yeah.
to continue to grow, and
Right.
new project about everything. We're shipping in different countries, so there's all the
What's that
international.
company?
It's we own a Peterbilt brand. The big Peterbilt truck.
Peterbilt?
Yeah, Packard, like Kenworth.
Okay.
Kenworth is it's the same builder,
Okay.
so it's Peterbilt.
Okay.
So we have like 7, places, business places of Peterbilt, and then they have 15 different business. So it's pretty big. It's a
Okay.
family-owned, but pretty big family-owned business, and we ship parts, like truck parts, in 20 countries.
Wow.
So and I'm working with the owner of that place, so it has something of creativity too.
Yeah.
Always different projects. So what I had in music, I have it, but differently, maybe what I like. So in my head, the way I see things, music and accounting is not that far away. And I always seen drum and music like little square in a way. Like it's how I understand. It's mathematical music too. So there's on my part, I seen in partly in that way. So. So yeah.
It's interesting how you draw that connection.
Yeah.
So how long you been at this job?
Oh, I've been there for 7 years. Yeah.
Okay, so was there ever a time where you were just doing music full time?
No, because I started doing because you do your license, you have to accumulate different hours and different things to have your license, your full license. So I had to stop that to start for a firm. I was an ex Deloitte, like Deloitte, the accounting firm. So I worked for them for a few years to have my license. So I even stopped teaching and playing music, gigging music, like for money. That like bands, you don't necessarily earn your life with that, depending on how big your band is. But still, it was more like because I liked it. I wanted to create music. So, but that job, it was teaching. It was doing like business shows and things like that, like top 40 bands. So. Different, but I stopped it, and then it was still now like a year and a half of university. So, and I had never had this period of time which I was only doing music and searching for a job, like a new job in accounting or something like that. So I never lived it. Now I have a lot of friends that live from music. Like the year I studied, it was an intense year of there's a lot of famous singer now and then in Quebec, and in France a little too, a little of good musician. My roommate, which was we were 3 friends from high school going there together. So 17 years old in an apartment in a new city, 3 guys.
Oh my God! What city did you grow up in?
It's called Saint-Hyacinthe. It's like a suburb of 40 minutes from Montreal.
Okay.
So it's a suburb, but a bit more further, yeah. And
a small town?
Yeah, like 50,000 maybe.
Okay.
People. It's there's a lot of agriculture. Like it's one of the agriculture of the center, yeah, for Quebec, which is already a good agriculture
for Canada
province, yeah.
Yeah.
So there's my mother comes from a farm. There was some of my cousin too that was still operating one. So yeah, and so I studied in a city. It's called Drummondville, and it's like another 35-40 minutes away than Montreal. It's the middle point between Quebec City and Montreal.
Okay.
So it in the middle. So yeah, I studied there. So it was just could have been done in car, but I think my parents wanted me to experience new thing or
Yeah, get
learn
out.
to do my stuff, you know. So yeah, man, my birthday is in August, like early August, and I remember like it's 8 August, and like the 15 we were there, the three boys in our new
So you
apartment.
just turned 18.
Yeah, just turned 18.
Like a child.
No, 17.
Oh, you're 17.
I was 17. I just turned 17.
Oh, you guys start earlier.
Yeah, yeah. So I was just 17 in a new place.
You
I
just
I-
turned 17, you move out? That's crazy.
yeah, yeah. So I remember me and we were three, and my two buddies, and we're like, what are we doing? Like, what should we do?
Yeah.
I think we can do like anything we want.
Yeah.
I'm sure that the first night probably we exaggerate on on a few things.
What's the drinking age there?
It's 18.
Okay, so you guys couldn't drink yet?
No, not yet. But honestly, it was pretty. It was not checked that much at that time,
Right.
or to buy alcohol in certain corner store. It was
Easy.
kind of
Yeah.
kind of not checked that much. So the first year we were kind of partying too. That was not a big problem, I guess.
It's easy to party when you're 17.
And in an apartment by yourself,
Yeah.
and you know the new school, the cégep, it's way more. It's a bit more like university. It's more you attend your class, you don't. Like I was a good student. It's not what I mean, but you know you were treated like an adult.
Yeah, that's how I treat my
If you
students.
fail, you fail, but
Right.
there's nobody holding your hand. Like you're
Right.
responsible of your own things.
Some of my students don't fully grasp that, you know? And I'm like, you guys are over 18. You know, I don't need to meet or communicate with your parents. This is all on you. You're paying to be here. It's your decision.
Yeah, exactly.
You know, if you show up,
The only
show
thing
up.
it's in Cégep, it doesn't cost that much.
Oh, really?
it's
How
like-
much was it?
I don't know, $300 per session.
A year?
No,
A semester?
A semester, yeah.
That's it?
That's it. So you know, so
So you have no college loans.
so yeah, there was some people like
Jeez.
gluing there for 7 years, or like you're supposed to be there 2 or 3.
Yeah,
and there
but
were
they're there for a
people to
while.
their I don't know how much different degree there.
Yeah,
but
taking
maybe
their sweet time.
Yeah, like having a specialized class in smoking marijuana. You know what I mean.
Was marijuana popular there?
Pretty much at that time. Nah, it wasn't legal at that time. Now it's legal in Canada.
When did they make it legal?
2015, I think.
15.
Yeah, 16 maybe. I'll have to check, but
It's been a bit.
it's been a bit, yeah.
That's great.
Yeah, so it was a little, but all the apartment in front of the cégep were all like student from like in my situation. So some were older than me because they could come back to that school, but a bunch of youngsters together learning music, having all the apartments. So even if you have a drum, your neighbor has a drum,
Yeah,
and
everyone's
the other
playing
one is
music.
playing saxophone. And
So
like,
everyone was making music.
so yeah, I never had the number of anybody, and it was at a time where the social media were it was in 2005, 6, 7, 8.
Right. So
9
not
maybe.
much. MySpace and Facebook,
No,
barely
so
anything.
like the only way to see someone or to play music was someone who's like taking your things and knocking to that person's door.
Mm-hmm.
So that was a very creative time of my life. Like being 30 in a room and everybody has something like. I don't know, it can be your bottle and everybody's making a big beat together, just those, at 1 a.m. because everybody of all the apartment are all there. So
Yeah.
it's not a problem.
So did
it
you
was fun.
create a lot of bands through that?
Yes and no. A lot of musicians that afterward I played with them, but not necessarily in that period. Afterward too. But yeah, made good friends, very, very good friends.
And were you in a band at this time?
Yeah. I was in a guy I knew who was a writer, and he had like kind of a blues, but lyrics oriented band. So yeah, I was playing with some friends, and the guitarist in that for a while was Martin, which was in the Mojos.
Okay.
You know, the big 6'3" guy.
Guitar player.
Guitar player, yeah. So that one of the first band I was with him. We played top 40 together too.
He was a good guitar player.
Yeah, he was. He's still.
Yeah.
We just started back
Really?
some jamming with those guys. And you know what we did? Like me and Martin, we were both teachers at the school where I teach. So I teach for 15 semester, so like 7 year and a half at this school, and he was a teacher there. And so we met, we played in band. I played with so much band with him. So with the bassist LP, which everyone call Alpinus, but he's very tall. I don't know. It's his name.
He has a shafty look.
He has a shafty look, and he's not mad about it. Like
Alpinus.
Hey, Alpinus, that's me, baby. Like he's proud. He has a
my
proudness
God.
about it. I don't know. It's just funny.
Goofy.
Yeah, it's
That's
goofy.
funny.
It's goofy. Yeah. And so what we were doing, we were teaching on Fridays, and afterward just staying in the teaching school and just jamming. We jam so much before doing songs, before even recording. We jam for a long time. So we developed, I think, a sound together that I did not find in other, like I had other cool projects. It's not that, but that special groove or understanding what the other one is going to do, or I had it more with those guys. So, and we stopped 1 year after playing in the Dizzies. So we parted away for different reasons, but
After playing at DZ Records.
yeah, like the year after, it's why we didn't go. We didn't come to the Dizzy Fest afterwards.
Yeah.
We were not a band, and it just happened. It was complicated, and so
Yeah, because I remember wanting you guys to play DZ Fest.
yeah, that would
I
have
think it was
been awesome.
2017, yeah.
Yeah, exactly. And so we stopped there, and we just started back this summer. And honestly, it's not the Mojos we're starting back, just new music. We wanna we all like there was evolution of every one of us during that time musically. So we wanna do something. I think some of it maybe we have a sound together, but still it's new. And just playing with those guys, there's a lot of guts. A lot of improvisation with those guys too. So when you improvise, it's kind of your guts on the table. It's
You have to have a lot of trust.
yeah.
And you guys established a lot of trust.
Oh yeah, so much. So man, it's a pleasure to play with them, honestly. And I don't know, maybe we won't do anything. Like we already have songs starting to to shape. But maybe we'll do nothing. I don't mind just the the action of doing that, of putting it on the table and playing. When you look at someone and it's happening in a way, just that it's it's good for the mind and the
true
soul.
connection.
Yeah.
Yeah. So right now you're in a place where you're just playing music for fun, but not really trying to play a bunch of gigs, shows.
No, I don't. Now I have my little girl. I'm working a lot too, so I already don't see her as much as I want. So I'm trying to focus a lot of time. She's young now. She's 15 months, so she'll get older too and everything. But so no, I'm okay with this. And as I was telling you when we started, like if I had to choose something, I still go with listening music. That's my first passion.
Listening to music.
Yeah, and collecting records and.
I like that too.
yeah, exactly. The action of just sitting or discussing about music.
Yeah,
or,
talking about it, listening to it.
Yeah.
Even the activities you do while you listen to it, either playing a video game, having a drink, playing chess, reminiscing, a date, or talking to family, relaxing with friends, smoking weed, whatever it is.
Yeah.
Everything about it is always enjoyable. A bonfire, on the boat, playing in the yard. If you're working on stuff in the yard, it's always,
exactly.
to me, it's always associated with something good.
But I I really like to play live. Like I'm feeling good on a stage. There's no problem about it. But if it's not happening, I don't feel bad about it, or I'm not missing something either. So basically, was what I want to tell is, if we have the chance to gig a little or do festival or do some things, like, we'll do it. It's gonna be fun. But I'm not planning on having something too big that I'll like the country band I was playing, like a country rock band. Like, there was a lap steel player, and that was the band after the Mojos. It was another band, and the singer, like, he's a really good. It was really more like singer oriented, this band, and the singer has a good voice, and he's in a few bands, but like, he has a normal job too. But every weekend he's gone gigging. And he travels a lot in different places in Quebec and everything. Like, for me, that it's good for him. He likes it very much, and that's perfect. But that's a bit too much for me too.
Yeah.
Like,
Absolutely.
I cannot do both at the same time.
No, it's not for everyone.
Yeah,
The
yeah,
touring
exactly.
musician, touring comedian, anyone who has to, even artists who do a lot of shows, like artists who like sell artwork and they go to a bunch of events. Anytime where you're traveling a lot for work, even other jobs that have it, it's hard. But the professional corporate jobs that have it, it's not nearly as hard as it is when you're sleeping on couches,
Exactly.
tenting outside, sleeping in basements, sleeping on a table. Like,
Yeah.
when people have to travel a lot for work, which is still stressful, but they have nice hotels and the company's paying for it. I hate to break it to you guys, but it's not as bad. Usually you're probably paid well to do it. Most jobs we have to travel off of work, you're taken care of well. I'm not taking anything away from them, because those are still hard and taxing on your body and like personal life and family and stuff. But when you're doing that, making next to nothing, like just enough to get by, like what they pay you is paying for the trip. Like, you have to pay for the trip yourself.
Yeah, exactly.
And then you sleep on someone's couch. You don't know them. It's not safe. You're borrowing equipment. You're not showering as often as you'd like. I mean, the list goes on.
There's a lot of good story coming back from
the best stories.
The best stories. But in the end, like, for you,
the most fun,
you're still sore after that.
Yeah, it's hard. I mean, the most fun I have is when I travel to record, to help with events, to put on stuff, to do podcasts with the equipment, and all of it, flying in the air with it or driving with it. It's always so much fun. I love it, but it's a lot of work. It's wild, but I wouldn't trade it. I wouldn't trade it at all. But I couldn't do the full time when that's all you do is tour and you're on the road 200, 300 days a year.
No,
it's too much.
That's for sure.
You definitely can't have a sense of a normal life. And the only time it works for people if they're paid really well. Famous, comedians and actors that travel off work. When they're paid millions of dollars.
In that case, it's really different.
It pays for itself. Allows you to pay for a home taker or someone who could take care of the home. And why am I drawing a blank? What did it say? Home care. I don't even know. Not like a maid, but someone to take care of the home. If you have a kid, babysit, like a nanny. Because you make so much money, you can do that. But for those who don't make a lot of money, they can't afford that.
I have so much respect, for the kind of the little bands, but that they do very good music, but they're not necessarily going to the radio or to big venues, and just continuing and trying to grind that thing, and oh man, like it's a dedication.
So much respect.
Oh yeah, a lot of respect for that.
A lot of these bands you see here are those kind of bands that have been doing it for
they
a long
do it
time.
for the music. It's only for that, yeah. So basically, it's kind of what I want to do. Like we're doing it for the music, just for the act of like playing together. If we have songs, hey man, that's cool. I think we'll have some, but the action of doing it. So in itself, that pays for me. That were the trip to go to my friends in the other city and to spend hours there and everything. So, and after that, but if we have few gigs for anything, I like playing live. It's another energy. It's in the Mojos, what I liked, we had moment in our song that the crowd was reacting a bit, solos or some cut, rhythmic cut or thing like that were surprising.
Yeah.
So I really liked when if people start whistling or that gives you the energy with the crowd is very different than just playing.
Oh yeah, yeah. When you play, I'm sure you've experienced this, but when you have like band practice and a song like glues together and it comes together, you have that feeling you just described, but you only have it with your bandmates where everyone's kind of like lost and feeling this together, like this symbiotic thing of we hit the right melody, right rhythm, the right textures, the right dynamics, the right volume, the right amount of voices, and it all comes
at
together.
the right place, yeah.
But no one's around. Like there's no fans.
Yeah.
You're just in your basement or a studio or rental place, and it has that amazing moment. I wish I could put that into a bottle and sell it. It's hard to explain it because when you're with a crowd, that gives you feedback and stress, which evokes a different type of emotion. And especially when they yell or cheer or sing along with you. But when you have it without anybody and you still feel it, I think that's what motivates a lot of musicians.
When we recorded the Mojos album, we wanted to do it live for that.
Mm-hmm.
And I know, like, I've recorded other records with, like separately with a click and like, you can replace everything afterwards. It's different. But this magic, it was still amps in the boots and
baffled off and stuff.
But the guy, he had an old restaurant, so there was this main room that was really, really like long. I don't know, maybe 60 feet.
Oh wow!
Big rectangle where they used to have people dining, like having supper and things like that there. And we just put I have an old drum. It's an old Ludwig, like the 67 Ludwig.
Oh, wow, that's cool.
Yeah. And it's beautiful and it's perfect. And so I had this drum, and it was the bass drum is empty and he sings,
Yeah. How many inches is the Ludwig bass drum?
Oh, it's a 20 by 16.
Oh, it's small.
No, 22, sorry. The normal one.
Okay,
Yeah,
normal.
22 by 16, yeah, sorry.
Okay.
No, normal. And I tuned it, so he would sing. And we just put the drum in the middle of that room. So there was so room, and we use a lot of,
Room mics?
Yeah, room mics, good room mics to capture that.
So
in the end, it gives a special sound to the album.
Yeah.
But you like it, you hate it. But just the feeling to play in that room, oh man, it was amazing.
Yeah.
It
really
would
big.
breathe so much,
Very
so much.
reverberant space.
Yeah, exactly. I liked it, that experience. We wanted to do it like that, to have this special sound to it. And that was very fun. And I like in the end, I like how the results came out.
Yeah. That's cool. I have heard that record. I know that record.
Yeah.
It does have a big drum sound.
Yeah, exactly.
Cool.
Exactly.
So you guys did it live, no click track?
No click track.
I hate click track.
Yeah. You never record like that?
So I normally don't. The records I've made as of late have not been to a click track, and I never really liked them. I've made my first band, Wilshire. I made those to click track, but that's because I made them alone. And I didn't have a band. I had to make them and then have the band play on them and stuff.
Yeah,
just by the nature of it. Also was new to it, and I always thought you had to use metronome.
Because you started doing recordings and
Yeah, it started with
getting
recordings first.
deeper. I mean, in that thing.
Yeah.
Where?
Well,
what
in
time?
2000 so I got my first 4-track cassette recorder in 2006, and then I got a digital recorder. Like a 8-track digital recorder with 2 XLR inputs, this Tascam one in 2009. And then in 2010, I did some recordings with that too. I used that for 2 years, and then in 2011, I bought a PreSonus audio
In Wilshire,
interface.
the thing you were talking about.
In Wilshire, that was 2010 to 2016 we ended. And then 2011, 12, and 14, I did 3 records in a row.
All right.
That were quite long records, and the nature of them, they're much atmospheric.
Yeah.
sound art.
I've listened a
Right,
bit
so
to your
it-
music. Yeah.
Thank you. Yeah, so it was not easy to play that live. It layers
Not
hundreds
easy,
of
not
tracks.
easy to record for first experience. Like,
Yeah, not it was
No.
not. It was my first time ever recording was that,
you,
and
you started hardcore.
yeah, I mean, for those listening, I mean, it was a big feat and undertaking. In hindsight, I realized how much it was to do. It's about 5 hours of music over 3 records. So it would be if I were putting out like 25, 26-minute albums, which is very modern indie rock does that. I would have put out like 9, 10, 12, 13 records in 3 years.
Yeah.
That's how much content there was. Every song's connected.
Yeah, exactly.
Via storytelling and music theory. And thematically speaking, they're connected. And then all the albums are connected. So you can totally put on the first song on the first record, all the way to the last song on the last record, and it's one long song with no stopping.
Oh yeah.
It was so hard.
Oh yeah.
To come up with ideas of how to do that, I would spend hours and days. How do I make this connect? How do I do that?
Oh man, that's intense.
It was intense, especially I was 21 when I started it, and I finished it at 24. And I've
Like-
had thoughts of a fourth record, but I don't know yet.
Like the King Gizzard album,
Yeah.
Nine Gun Infinity.
Yeah,
You
just
know,
kind of
that
like
just-
that. Just goes and goes and goes. And my favorite thing was trying to find a way to connect albums to albums to where like there's no stoppage.
Does the last one connect with the first
Yeah. Oh,
one? The perfect circle, you know.
so no, technically it doesn't. That
would have been.
I wanted to
awesome,
do
though.
that, except I thought of that after I was making the records because I started the first one with a fade. I wanted to fade in like it's the birth, like the music. It doesn't just start; it fades in slowly.
Okay, yeah.
So I guess the only way to do it would be the last record before I'm done forever. Is you fade it out at the same gradual slope as the way it fades into the first record. So that's the only way it could kind of have this almost perfect infinity loop.
Yeah. Oh, that's
yeah.
awesome. That's an awesome idea.
Yeah, I mean, that was a lot of work. That actually got me really into recording. I learned so much through that process of hundreds of tracks.
All the session you're doing,
All
with the
of it.
video, the sound, everything. There's you brought a lot of quality to the table, man.
Yeah.
Congrats for that.
Thank you.
Like in your basement with
In the
your
basement,
thing.
I know it's nocturnal, dingy, bassy, or bass leaking. Like it leaked so much in that basement.
Oh, yeah?
Whenever it would rain, it would leak. It was and I had all that equipment. I always had to move it or throw towels down. I had weird ways I would hang up towels and create mechanisms to catch water and have it drain into a garbage can.
Oh no.
Across equipment, we're talking all these amps and guitars, and it was just in there amongst it. It was brutal. All this artwork. So it definitely was frustrating, but I'm glad it was hard. It made me try harder, struggle more. I'm a big believer in suffering and pain, as long as it's not dangerous to you. But I'm glad it wasn't easy, and none of it was easy, and I pushed it a little hard because I don't know. It's still hard now, but it has such a strong foundation. DZ Records, DZ Fest, podcast, music, that I can do things in an easier way now. Like when you have all the equipment, like I was telling you earlier, you could take your sweet time making an album. When I was younger and I first started, I always would rush the records. I was like, I got to get this out and play shows and show people. And I'm like, man, now I'm like, I'll take years to make an album. I don't care. Doesn't matter.
Yeah. I understand.
You
I
realize
feel
it
you.
doesn't matter.
Yeah.
The pressure is very arbitrary. But I'm also not making music for a living to try to tour on. So I have no pressure.
It's not the same pressure,
Not at all. Yeah. So would you, when you were younger, before like making the decision for accounting versus music, you still always kind of leaned towards accounting?
No, until I made that choice in my head, I was doing music until like wanted to go to university. Like my original setup was like Cégep, university. Then I would be gigging. Teaching was. I think I would have been more if I would have been making a living out of it. I think the teaching would have been the good way for me. I think I was a pretty good teacher.
How many classes would you teach?
When I was in for the time I was there, I had around 20 students.
20 students.
So some were 30, 45 an hour.
Oh,
A mix
you
of
taught
that.
lessons.
Yeah.
Got it.
But but different people, 20 different people at a time. That was
Yeah.
pretty much my average, I would say. So maybe, I don't know, 14, 15 hours of teaching
Okay.
per week.
So it was like a part-time gig
Yeah.
to do on top of other job.
Yeah, exactly. For a time, I was still working for my father, like at the gas station, or for him in the administration. But then I left that, and I did only music for maybe, I don't know, 5 years.
Okay.
But it was part job. I was in the university at the same time. But I
Oh,
was
okay.
only doing music for at least 5 years, 5, 6. So yeah, a lot of teaching. But teaching, I loved it so much. I don't know the exact maybe word in English, but when you have the ability to simplify something to
Yeah.
someone. In the French we say vulgariser. And so I learned that a lot, and that is still important in my job
Yeah.
too, because sometimes I'm making the link between something that can be a bit like with the taxes or something in accounting, a bit complicated. Then I have to explain to people that it's not their specialty, all the rules or things like that. What's the big picture of it, and trying to simplify. And that teaching really helped me for that, and I loved it.
That makes sense.
Yeah, I think every job you do in your life, you maybe not every, but you often learn something from it.
Absolutely.
Different thing could be serving clients or like certain parts of your personality, or but that at that time was good for me. I like it very much. Could have done that a long time, I think. And the proudness too to see the evolution. Like I was good at keeping students. Like you always have a flow of some people that are not coming back, but I had a lot of students for like 4 years, 5 years, different stretch.
Yeah.
For
Yeah.
a few
So you
years.
saw a huge growth of their life.
Yeah, at the end, my students, it's 2 of my students that took back my my job.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Wow. So you taught them how to do what you do.
Yeah. And those 2 guys, there was some other that became pretty good too. But those 2 guys, one went to McGill University in Montreal in jazz, which is the best, in my opinion, the best jazz university for drum.
In Canada?
In Canada, in Montreal. So he went that, and now he's a professional drummer, and plays a lot of jazz in Montreal. He's touring. He's living from music, and he was
Awesome.
my student for like maybe 5, 6 years.
Wow. It's all
So-
because of you.
Yeah, but in a way, I don't mean no, yeah, but in a way, because I think what I gave him, the basis and everything, but I think I was there a good person to give him the love of music. Then, like Cégep University, he learned like to be a professional musician, the skills way more than what I gave him. I gave him the basis.
Inspiration.
Like 5 years of drumming, but the most technical things, now, he probably learned them after. But he already thanked me many, many years after he stopped taking classes with me. He thanked me for that, for like, like you gave me new music to listen, new, like my horizon was like, you
He
opened
broadened
them.
horizon.
Yeah, exactly. So
Wow.
that was something I love from the teaching process.
That's the one beautiful thing about teaching.
Yeah.
You can truly impact and change people's lives.
Yeah.
It's why it should be a more respected and more financially compensated job, because it's so important, and it's really stressful. I mean, it's a lot to like be on your toes and be really sharp for hours on end while explaining, having every answer, knowing where to point people in the right direction if you don't have the answer, doing your work in your field so that way you can apply it and teach it. So you always have to keep doing your work. You can't just slack off and not be relevant in your situation as a drummer or as a musician. So you have to always actively do that so you can pass that lived experience and knowledge to your students in real time, and learn how to simplify it, and also learn how to gauge it. How advanced should I go right now? How every student's different. You might have had 2 students that were 10, but one I almost felt like they were playing as if they were 15. The other one almost felt like they were playing as if they were 7. How do you, the same, it could be two boys, they could be the same, from the same background, same age, but have two very different skill sets. How do I apply my life, what I know, my own studies and experience to accommodate each individual person? And it's really hard. People think like, oh, I'm just teaching this class, therefore I just cast out the net and they like catch it and we're good. It's like, no, it could be one subject matter, and then within that there's 20 students. Like in my situation, I have a class of 20 kids, and each have a different knowledge, background. They're from a different place in the country. Yeah. They had different means growing up. Some were trained, some were not. Some have equipment, some don't. Some are just curious, some want to do it for a career, some just a hobby. And to make sense of all of that with no help and then figure out a way to implement it and explain it all, be strict but not be too harsh, be fair but be have consequences.
For you, because you're teaching in university, right?
Yeah, two different schools.
So you didn't have like, or maybe you had one, but it was not a complete program over teaching. Like I have friends teaching high school or teaching primary, like they did their university in teaching.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
Pedagogy.
Yeah, exactly. So you're a specialist in your domain.
Yeah,
you know,
I'm a specialist in my situation.
But you didn't necessarily learn.
No, I didn't
how
learn
to
teach.
know. So
it's all what my craft and what I do and what I went to school for. But we didn't really learn how to teach.
It's your feeling in a way, and you develop many way to explain it and everything. I'm sure, but still you were let loose in that field. You know,
you let loose, and then and the class I teach, I designed and came up with. So it's even more in like my mind and my experiences. And there's a lot of technical stuff that's objective and has, empirical data of how sound works and physics and electronics and things. But there's a lot of subjective stuff. Like, for example, next semester, spring 2024, I'm teaching an audio production 1 class, which is more technical.
Okay.
But then a sound design class, which is more subjective and more creative and uses a lot more imagination in the process. Yeah. But then a music theory class, which is like all technical. No subjectivity there. It's all audio theory. But then a mixing and mastering class, which has a little bit of technical, but then everything with what you do is all subjective. Everything about mixing is subjective.
Yeah, exactly.
Aside from how it was captured and how you're exporting it, those are the two technical things. The bookends. Everything within that book and on each side, all subjective. You can do whatever you want. There's a million ways to mix a song. There are certain styles people like to model their mixes off of, but for the most part, I mean, you could do anything. And in fact, the subjectivity and creativity in mixing has been another leading factor into why we have so many genres, cross styles, cross genres from different backgrounds. Because if everyone stuck to the same formula of how to mix something, you get a little bit of sterilization going on in music.
Yeah.
So
to have in that.
Yeah. So they have the creative music that comes from different cultures around the world.
And some bands, their signature is the mix.
Yeah.
In a way, like I listen a lot to the last Fiona Apple album. You know,
Fiona Apple, yeah.
Yeah, like Fetch the Bolt Cutter.
Mm-hmm.
And the mix of that album is so weird. It's so raw in a way.
Mm-hmm.
It's like that could be another song, and with that mix, and I would say, oh, that's that. It's the signature, I think, of this album. So in some band, the mix is important, like where the what they do with the voices or
how you place them, how do you pan them, what levels are they at, what kind of effects, what kind of equalization, compression, reverb. I mean, the list goes on.
Yeah, exactly.
There's so many techniques, there's styles. Do you want the vocals to come in for 1 second to emphasize one word on that syllable, then to cut out? If they do come in, do you want harmonies? Do you want melody? Do you want octaves up, lower? Like, do you want it to sound like a robot? Do you want it to have auto-tune on it? Like, if so, how much and why? Like, it gets... I like it because it has so many technical elements to it. Then creativity, then philosophy, psychology, sociology. We're in 2023, so there's also expectations of how things should be presented in sound, how loud they are in their mix, how loud they are in mastering. I mean, it goes and goes and goes. So I'm glad I have 4 very different classes.
Do you do the masterings too?
Yeah. Yeah.
Do you think it should be always done by two different people?
So, yeah. So normally, for those listening, there are normally 3 to 4 positions in a standard nice studio, and where there's enough money to have different people. You're going to have the band or the talent or the client. And then you're going to have a producer. Sometimes it is a person in the band. Sometimes it's the whole band. Sometimes it's just an external person that is an idea person that might not necessarily know a lot of technical stuff. They just have an ear for ideas and can voice thoughts, help be like the conductor for the music and do things in a production way. Sometimes they do know more technical stuff, and they can almost lean into being an engineer and a producer. There's no right or wrong. There's just a spectrum of this. Then there's the engineer or an audio engineer. Usually they're the people choosing the gear, the microphone, the preamp, the placement, the space, the levels on the preamp, how it's getting into the DAW, which is your software, digital audio workstation. And that's like their job.
All the process of putting the music on
from the instruments through the microphones and that signal flow to getting it into your DAW.
Yeah.
Then from there, you might have a mixing engineer whose job, mixing and editing, to take all that stuff and blend it together using natural volume changing, natural panning for panoramic movement across the speaker, different frequency situation and movement, which is equalization. And then compression, reverb, any effects, distortion, time-based modulations, artifacting stuff, whatever it is, they're deciding all of those things. And they could be under
building shaping,
building, and molding and blending the song. Because it goes in raw, it needs to be put into something else. And then after that, you'll have a mastering engineer. And their job is to take the final stereo mix and a stereo interleaved file, and it's usually a WAV file. If you're an Apple, it could be an AIFF file. And they are there to do a couple different things, but on average, they're there to equalize the track as a whole. The track is now one stereo file, so you can't equalize individual sections very well anymore, like just guitar or just drums. Everything's going to affect the next thing.
Yeah.
So you equalize it as a whole, how it feels and sits and sounds sonically in a cohesive way. Then a little bit of compression, usually a multi-band compressor, which means you're allowed to have multiple ranges you can compress. And that varies from song to song and what you're going for. And then
mastering affects the pleasure you get from listening to a record a lot, I think.
Yeah, it affects a lot.
Because it smoothens
It smooths out the dynamic changes.
Yeah.
In a song that's unmastered, you're going to have a lot more dynamic changes. What I mean by that is the loudest sound and the quietest sound are going to vary tremendously in volume measured in decibels from each other. When it gets mastered, that ratio gets squished down a little bit. And then you add either a limiter, hard limiter, or adaptive limiter, depending on your software, and that you use to bring the song up all together in volume. 6, 7, 8, 9 decibels, bring up the whole thing in volume. So it's at this normal or nominal level on streaming services, on vinyl, on CD, where it sounds pretty much just as loud as the next song. There's two big things that happen, though, are kind of funny when it comes to music production. Why I think we love music and songs so much and varying in production is based on what they can give to you. Why we like a live record, like what you did, that probably had more live mixing and live mastering done to it, because it breathes and it has energy and you could feel it and you can connect with it. But then why we might like a more polished, like pop album, maybe we'll say like a Katy Perry or Britney Spears or something like that. Why like that is it's so polished and it's mastered so heavily that there's not much volume change.
Yeah.
So it almost hits you in a way that it has energy and it has movement because there's barely any quiet to loud parts. It's just one solid loud sound, like amalgamation of frequencies that are not natural in human existence. You can't hear things like that.
Yeah.
So we manipulate it, and it has this whole new sound, and that's like does a lot of you psychologically. When you hear something you can't hear in nature ever, it sounds strange, and that's where loud rock music, EDM, pop music, where it has this like heavily mastered and mixed quality to it, it's a very unnatural sound. And to simplify for people who don't know or can't follow what I'm saying, if you hear like an acoustic guitar right in front of you, it's not that loud. We'll call it, I don't know, 75 decibels. It's not that loud. But then you can also have a drum kit played right in front of you. And that is loud. That can hit up to 110 decibels, way louder. Then why is it on a record when you're listening to an acoustic song with someone whispering and singing softly with a drum kit and a bass? They're all the same volume. They wouldn't be. That trick of manipulating things that don't have a place to be that loud, like a quiet.
Or the band must have a lot of dynamics together, like acoustic band. If they play in front of you and without mics or anything, they can play a show, and they can do that. That's what I love of seeing little bar shows.
Oh yeah,
when they can do those dynamics, you can hear the singer perfectly, but he's singing not that loud. In the mix general, and then the band can grow with the song. I like those dynamics. It's so fun. It's so it kind of makes the mixing and the mastering naturally when you have good players.
Yeah, absolutely.
They live through it. You know what I mean?
They do it for you.
Yeah, exactly.
Absolutely. That's why
which you can't really do on a record. Not that much.
No, it's harder.
It's harder.
Harder.
You need a guy like you.
Yeah, it's harder. The live mixing, the live video sessions is so much easier because I'm just capturing what they literally just did. Like the volumes they're at when they change and they ebb and flow. I'm just capturing that.
Yeah.
And doing a little bit of processing the back end, not much. A little bit of reverb, a little bit of EQ, but most of the EQ is quite passive, and I'm just doing high pass filters and like blocking out like low rumbles of stuff. Like the overheads, they don't on this kit because I have so much close miking. I don't really need to get the low end of the drum kit to clean up the mix and not have the guitars bleed in. I filter out some of the low end. Like there's just things like that, but I'm not really changing anything. I'm just filtering out some low stuff, cleaning it up, making it more transparent.
Yeah.
A little bit of compression because, man, do humans really love compression. It is an unnatural thing that doesn't really happen much. I mean, we get a little bit of compression going on in our ears naturally, but it's nothing compared to what you can do in the software.
I really like the old music, but I have music from every era. I like the historical part of it. Historical. Sorry, historical part of it. And it changed so much. You listen to records in the early '60s to like 75, and you just see the level of compression, like
well, the volume in general, the output they can get at, because once they were able to move the 2-inch tape. And especially by like 1980 when they
particularly the drums. On the drums.
When the drums really take off are in like 79 to 80, I believe they go from 15 inches per second to 30 inches per second. Okay. The fidelity in tape gets a lot better. Okay. Get a lot more low end and a lot more clarity. And you can hear it happen in the late 70s and early 80s and bringing in CDs and going digital. That whole technology technology has made music and art come through so much more, but music and art has given technology a reason to create the technology for it.
Yeah.
Symbiotic, again, you need them. I'm very much against when people are saying like cutting the arts, budgeting, like take the budget away for the arts, focus on stems. It's like, all right, have fun living a life without art. Everyone's going to shoot themselves in the head in like 10 years. For real. If you took away all creativity, I mean, we would crumble as a society.
We're talking a lot about music, but it's the same thing. Music, when it's everywhere.
It's everywhere.
Like even people that don't really care about music, in fact, they live with music. At the store, on the TV, in the movies, and there's always music playing almost everywhere. Like even at the job, often people have like some phone, company phone, they would play music in the time, or maybe still today. So it's the same thing. We lived surrounding by it, and when there's no sound, it's cool. There's something to the silence that is very fun, but there's not so much silence around.
You're going to hear the highway, cars, neighbors,
radio, songs, or anything.
No, music, it is, a quote I have of myself is, it's the lubrication of all existence. It's what keeps things moving and smooth. And not overheating, and I mean that metaphorically, it can change everything. I will never fully understand it. It's such a complicated thing as to why we gravitate towards music so much. I mean, a lot of it has to do with our brains, survival, communicating, procreation, evolution, where pattern recognition is really key for humans. We tend to do something called chunking in our mind of 3s and 4s. That's why every number, credit card, cell phone number, birth date, all of it's in either 3s or 4s or 2s and 4s. And so is our time signatures for music theory.
Yeah,
It's
yeah.
either 3 or 4 or a variation of it. If it's 5, it means it could be 2 and 3 or 3 and 2. If it's 7, it's 4 and 3. Like either way, it's a variation of a 3 or 4.
Yeah,
And I think it's
I know what you're
because
saying.
our short attention span, but ability to make sense within that chunking in our mind and create a pattern, because a pattern we can make sense of and then predict the next movement.
Yeah.
And why we, as a species for survival, we need that. And then pitch, so we can communicate with each other and make sense of the animals around us. You put pitch and patterns together enough, and eventually it could even lead to like what peacocks move around and have bright colors. I think we might have used song and dance for mate calling for a long time ago.
Now, I have a 15 months daughter, I told you.
Yeah.
And I noticed, like, since she's born, her relationship with sounds and even rhythm and music. Like the rhythm, I don't know, maybe not for every child, every children, but the rhythm comes first from the child I've seen in my life. I mean, and like it's crazy when you just hold a snapping beats, in front of a baby, and notice something's happening. Like there's something that have the same rhythm, and the same thing with my little girl. I see her like trying to tap rhythms on herself, or like I'm a drummer. I have drums at home, and she loves so much to come and do music with me. Like I have 2 drums, one jazz and one rock drum. I just sit her on the drum and we play together. She just hits, thumbs or anything. But the relationship or when I was putting music, I did it really, really, really early. I think she was 2 hours old when I sing her first drum beat with my mouth. I wanted to do it quickly, so she'll be used to it. But then listening music together, so I've seen it growing in her mind, kind of live, with someone, and I thought it was amazing, like how when something is repeating itself, like how they notice it when they're big like
Young,
that, very, very young, and it's impressive. So yeah, it's that was I never lived. I was with young children before, or babies, but not mine. Not every day the evolution,
Right. Seeing the whole process.
the process. Oh yeah, man, it was amazing, really to see that, to live that since the past 15 months. It's sure, I listen to a lot of records. I play music, so I know she's, in maybe more than. In another home, but still like developing that sense for it, and
Yeah. So you show her a lot of music?
yeah.
You show her like every style, just everything?
Yeah, no, I put something rocking thing, more heavy, but not that much. I didn't went too far.
Not
But-
Pantera, no heavy metal?
Yeah, not for now, not for now. But yeah, different style. She liked the groovy stuff.
Is she talking?
Like she's starting slowly. Like she doesn't do sentences, but she can make, like, you'll understand what she wants.
Yeah.
Food, different food, or like she wants you to come to. She'll say like "Bob, Mom" and things like that, and like banana or little, and it's not even complete. But yeah, she's starting for like the 2-3 past months. We're really like starting to understand what she wants, and we can communicate more with her. So that's really cool too. But yeah, and like seeing your child dance, even at a very, very young age, that's all part of the
Yeah.
process. Like she's seeing that it can flows in her body. You know, it's special too.
We love the dance. Humans
Yeah,
love the
it's
dance.
natural.
So natural.
Yeah,
I think it might have showed agility and mobility and
probably.
youth, you know. And it also it gets a little, physiologically speaking, it gets to a little bit of a some type of spiritual thing I can't explain.
Yeah,
You
for
know,
sure.
I'm not saying a deity, religion type of thing, but it certainly doesn't feel very animalistic and it's just straight biology. There's something else. I
Yeah.
can't fathom it. You know, I'm
I
trying.
like to play African beat different. There's so much, you know, different culture have different, and I don't know them all, that's for sure. But I love to practice African beat on drumming. It's so mesmerizing in a way, you know, and like the way it grooves together, the roots of, you know, the roots of the sound of the percussion, the beats. I like it very much. It's and it's very good on the drum to you know, to learn different things like the independence of all the members. Because in some country, like it was not meant to play on a drum, and different people were doing all those. Same for Latin music, in fact.
Yeah.
Different people, like the bass drum, you're doing it, but normally it's just a guy doing that rhythm.
Yeah.
And then
He's
another
just hitting
person,
it.
yeah, he's just doing that rhythm. And the thing you're doing on the ride, it was someone maybe with a cobble. Or
Someone's
with
just doing
someone.
congas
Yeah.
or bongos, you know.
So it's a mixed up of many beats that create the whole thing, you know. So it's really good to practice those kind of beats. But yeah, I like the roots of music, like the historical. I was saying earlier, like the history of music behind it, what made all the, you know, the mix and that came to Latin music or rock or blues music or and you know, the tree kind of music, every branches.
Yeah, it's interesting. It's interesting. Even like Mexican music's fascinating because it's so many cultures influenced it. Like even I believe Germans and Austrians, I believe it's Germans influenced Mexican music tremendously, bringing the accordion over to Mexico.
Oh
And
yeah,
that polka style music.
Yeah,
When
yeah.
you listen to Mexican music, it has a polka style feel to it. If you know
Okay.
Eastern European music,
Yeah.
German and Polish music,
I never thought about that.
Yeah.
But makes sense.
it
in a
makes
way.
sense. But then with them, they have, before that, then Spanish music mixed though, but then they have tribes there. They have, you know, the Mayans and Aztecs and whatnot. So you mix Native American music, which is a whole different kind of music, a lot of rhythmic based stuff.
Yeah.
Then you mix it with this melodic Spanish music, but it's not just Spanish music because it also has that flamenco, which has that
Yeah.
the Moors, you know, from the Middle East and Northern Africa who took over Spain for a long time.
Okay.
From, you know, so you have this that Muslim based, or I guess it'd be like an Arab based style in Spanish music that's European mixed with this ancient rhythmic stuff from Native Americans mixed with this like central Western modern polka music from like the last 200 years.
Yeah.
You put it all together and then you mix in like American influence and you're like, it's crazy what gets you to Mexican music. You know, you mix, and then when you have this like reggaeton, you mix like hip hop, R&B, even electronic music with everything I just said, and you get like this modern reggaeton, like Bad Bunny type stuff, like big. It's so popular now, you know.
Yeah, yeah.
It's amazing. You can start to see all the layers, and there's always exceptions, and it slides.
I really like the Tropicalia movement in Brazil, and like the movement of the 60s and the 70s, and like the mix of you know, more England rock and roll music, American rock and roll music with some of traditional rhythm or you know, percussionist and everything mixed together, and the Brazilian to have a very special way of playing the rhythms. That is, some of them are they're not writable. You can not write them on a paper almost. You know, it's not square. It's not triplets. It's in between. like it's very special. I'm not able to. I can hear it, but not necessarily able to do that feel. But it's very special. It's between two things, and they have very special rhythm. So yeah, I like to to listen to different cultural music for that to the groove you can do, and that's the thing I tried to do after studying with music is playing rock, but incorporating many like some jazz thing, some Latin thing, some African thing in the drumming, So different metrics like 3-on-2, 2-on-3, and things like that, and use that in different contexts, and like Tropicalia did in a few ways. Not necessarily with those kind of rhythm, different one, but I like this mix, and I use that with the boys, with the Mojos a little, and when I'm jamming, that's a thing that I like the sound of it in a more rock or more modern music playing. So yeah, I think it's very very interesting.
Have you ever been to another country to like study their percussion?
Not for the. I've been to other countries for sure, but not for the percussion. A few friends went like to have travel to Brazil to live there for a month or two, or same thing, a few weeks in Africa, different country. But I personally never did it. But yeah, like when I retired, I would like to study music again. Like just
really?
to fun, like maybe to do a degree in university, or
That's cool,
going to like master class for a few weeks,
Yeah.
like in Brazil, or
When are you going to retire?
I don't know, man. But I'll hope I'll be in shape and able to do those things. But the process of learning the music, that I really like.
Yeah, it's fun.
Like in the past year, I didn't have no band, and I was only playing in my in my basement. And even when I have a band, it's one time a week, like, or 2 weeks. So mostly I'm playing by myself, and like just be on my kit, practicing new beats, or learning those African beats or anything. I like this process of mine. Your show is bending brains, but in a way it's that, you bend your mental and your physical together to create something that I like it. Like, I like practicing. Some people don't like it that much. On my part, it just, when you do that, you're focused.
Yeah, it's the only thing you're thinking about.
There's nothing else going around.
That's true. It
I like
might
that.
take some time, but once you get in that swing of practicing, you're not thinking about anything else.
Or
but the
playing.
task at hand.
I'm saying practicing. Practicing can be just playing and trying to do the grooves and anything, just playing. But when you do that, you play. That's the thing. It's happening now. You're doing it, and that I like it very much. So yeah, I would see myself retiring and pushing drums even a bit more further. I guess I'll do it until that too, because I do it by myself. I've taken a few classes with a drummer I liked, or I try to continue progressing, or I have friends that are better than me or did their university, and I like to play with them, So I'm continuing to learning, but to learn, but like pushing the other step,
Yeah.
Often learning is like like a stair, like it's not a smooth process. It's
Increments.
yeah,
Yes,
like
small increments.
you hit a spot, and then you practice. You don't see it coming, and there's another one, and there another one. So but to do those next big step in my playing, I would like to do that. That would be and it's kind of a life commitment in a way.
Yeah,
right?
it's a lifelong journey.
It's never like there's no
Yeah,
end line.
there's no
it's
end to it.
impossible.
Absolutely. That's how I feel about playing music. It's like I might not practice every day, but I practice, and I have band practice every week, and I've been making records forever, and I'm just going to do it forever. I mean, I have all the equipment, I have the knowledge, the experience, the ability, the want. So just do that, and no need to appease big labels or society or
Yeah.
what's hip in pop culture. Just play for fun.
That's the basic.
all different kinds of stuff, different styles. It's fun to be in different bands. At first, I always wanted to be in like one band forever, you know. And like when your first band breaks up, it's like when your first big breakup happens with a relationship. It's the worst, you know. And it's the same with the band. You're like, what? How do I start over again? And it's like you could do it. I've been in too many
the energy
bands.
you put like all the time, and
It's exactly the feeling it's hard to explain to people, but I've said it before. I'll say it again. Being in a band is like being in a relationship with multiple people that you're not having sex with. That's what it's like.
And there, it's not only one person necessarily.
It's a ton of people.
It's a lot of people.
Multiple people.
And well, your band was a big one, right?
We had 5 people, but when we'd play live, we've had like 6, 7, 8 people.
Yeah. I've seen a couple live that you were bigger. Oh, you didn't do like a thing that you played a song, but you were like, I don't know, 20 people or 25.
Yeah, that was my backyard.
Oh yeah. You recorded that.
We did one with
how many people?
I think 13 or 14 people played in the band.
13, 14.
It was a lot. It was crazy. It was fun though.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's cool. You had all those crazy ideas. I didn't like notice that the album, like, you know, they went together.
Yeah, all of them go together. All
so
three.
You had cool ideas to explore. You know.
I guess. Yeah. I mean, I felt like they were something. I just didn't know what it was. I've always been a little into pushing things kind of far, going above and beyond what you expect for yourself and what any of the world anticipates from you. Naturally, I guess. I mean, it's not like I guess when you try anything, it's deliberate, but it doesn't feel deliberate. It feels like a calling, like what you're supposed to be doing.
Yeah.
I also enjoy the adventure. I enjoy going on that journey, taking the risk, you know, doing the festival in your backyard for 10 years. Most people would never do that. They would do one and be like, never mind, this is a bad idea. But like instead of looking at all the shortcomings and failures, I just optically looked at the optics actually, and I was like, okay, don't do that again, fix this, do that, and just kind of improve. Same with sessions, every technique, microphone placement, microphone choice, lighting,
There's
cameras,
a lot of learning there.
so much, just, I mean, thousands of them.
Oh,
you do thousands, you know.
So true.
Now they're fast. I mean, I had a band come in from Providence, Rhode Island last Wednesday. This awesome band, Nova One. Went to their show at Chuba's. They came back and stayed the night, and then we did a session the next day at 10 a.m. And then they left, and I had to go to work. I went to I teach at Columbia College too, downtown, and I taught 2 classes there. And then when I got back home, I edited the audio, but because I use templates that I've already created based on this environment and my setup, it's like 85% mixed it, listened to it a couple times, mixed it,
cool.
mastered it, threw it in there, did the video editing.
Then you adjust it for the musician and their way of playing and the band, but the foundation kind of is.
It's all there already. And by that night, by 12 hours later, they're already done they weren't public yet. They're not public yet, but they're up on YouTube and ready to go in 12 hours while I had to go to work that day. So, but that's how efficient I've gone into. I can fly through these things. But it took so long and a lot of money, a lot of time.
That's for sure.
A lot to get that efficient, that quick, and just know what to do. But I still love it. I love when a band comes in there was this band that came in. I never recorded the instruments before. We were old Native American Mexican, like bass drum.
Oh yeah,
I was hitting with like a cow skin on it.
Okay,
and then a cowbell.
Was there deepness in it with another skin, or
I don't know. It was low in pitch. I could show you the video after this. It was low. It was a boom, boom, boom. And then the other guy had congas, and he had 3 of them. Another person had guitar. Then it was bass. Then it was 3 vocals and stuff I just normally don't record. And I love it. I'm like, okay, cool. It's a challenge because when it's bass, guitar, drums, and singer, it's like that formula. It's like, what's 2 + 2? And it's 4. But when someone comes in with that kind of contraption and different stuff, I'm like, oh, what's 2 + 2 × 5 + 3? You know, then it's a math equation. You got to figure out, like, where do I put these mics? I've never seen this instrument before. Yeah. Where does it radiate sound? How does it resonate? Where are all this sounds emanating from? What part of the surface? What is the texture of this material? Like, all these things matter when you put a microphone on something. Also, how loud is it relative to the other instruments in the room? Now I got to balance bleed from the instruments. So I enjoy it. I like it when band comes in, they have like a new approach or different instruments or different styles, I get all excited.
Just a parenthesis, but when I was younger, I was on a with friends. They were a little town, so we were just hanging in the street, and we end up to one of the guys that we were with to his home, and I'm in the living. I just look on the wall, and there's the guys of Pink Floyd in the same living I am in with his father. But I knew after that, like he told me after that, it was his father, and it was like, dude, what the guys of Pink Floyd are doing here?
Wait, what do you mean his father? What?
He did. He was people, doing maintenance and doing guitar and things like that. I don't know the word.
A guitar technician?
No, not tech. They're making guitar.
Oh, a luthier.
Luthier, and doing the fine maintenance.
He did that for Pink Floyd.
No, he was doing that, and also he was miking instruments.
Oh.
And he mic'd an old, ancient instrument, which called in French a vielle à roue. It's like a violin, but you have a wheel that you turn.
Yes, I know that instrument.
Yeah. So he was one of the first person in the 80s to put a mic on that. And they wanted it. So they came to do a show in Canada. They come to his home to get the instrument mic'd. But just,
What album is that on?
Oh, I don't know. Honestly, was it ever on an album, or did they just wanted
Pink
that?
Floyd went to his house
to buy this instrument,
and
to try it and to
try it out. He was the first people to record it.
To put a microphone. No, like a guitar, a pickup.
Oh, guitar pickup, like a piezo disc on it.
I don't know exactly, pickup. But he put a pickup, so it was now electrified. He was the first to electrify this instrument.
And you're in this living room, and you see Pink Floyd picture on the wall in the same room you're in.
Yeah. Those are the same couches.
That's so funny. What a story. That's wild.
Yeah, that's so funny.
Yeah.
I'm staying in the same pad, but the wall. That was from their show in, I don't know if it's the same time he was there, but possibly it was in the 80s. But they did the wall in the Olympic Stadium in Montreal. Not the wall, sorry, the album before that. But the idea
Animals?
I don't know exactly, but he was telling that in a show in the bassist.
Roger Waters.
Roger Waters, he was interviewed, and he was telling that he had the idea of the wall in Montreal because the crowd was really, I don't know, it was too close and it was annoying. And there was an annoying guy, in fact, in front of the first row, and he was very drunk. And Roger Waters, he spat on the guy, like he spit on him. And like after that, he was like, "Oh, I shouldn't do that." And it was the relationship with the crowd, and that you should build a wall to the. And
really?
He was saying everything was so.
Interesting. I never knew that.
Yeah,
I always thought the wall was like a metaphor for like Big Brother and government and control.
Yeah, that the story and everything, but the main thing he
just didn't.
He was telling the story.
That's so funny.
Yeah. So yeah, as I said, Pink Floyd, but yeah, just to say electrifying an instrument or like this new instrument, miking it, new sounds and.
Interesting. Yeah, it's fun. It's fun with new sounds. That's why it's fun making an album. You can experiment when you have all the mics and all the equipment. You can experiment with microphone placement, move stuff around. I mean, I used to record for my second Wilshire record. I recorded guitar through the air ducts. It was a whole crazy system. I moved my guitar amp to my bedroom upstairs, faced it towards the air vent.
What?
Went down, turned off the AC, went downstairs, put microphones on the air vent down in the basement.
Yeah.
So it's far, and this played, but I had to run I have no wireless setup, so I had to run my cables
all in the
down the stairs, attach it to a pedal to extend it another like 21 feet, and then play in the living room and bring the headphones from the basement up to meet in the middle because the cables were too short. Listen and then play along. But I put a mic on the amp in the bedroom and on one in the vent in the basement. It has such a cool sound. I could show you after this, but it's a cool sound.
Oh, yeah.
It sounds exactly like that you hear, and I have them fade into each other.
Is it kind of the sound when you speak in
yeah, it sounds like it's in a Folgers tin can with a
like a pipe or anything when you
it sounds like a plate reverb, but like a really bad plate reverb. Really, it's essentially what it is. It's, aluminum rattling around.
So you did a lot
feet.
of research while doing all the. It's like I know you got better and everything, but researching sound.
Yeah,
and,
it was stuff mixed with what I was learning in school because I went and studied this in school. and what I was experimenting with in real life, and bands I used to love and admire. I'd listen to what they did and heard their sounds.
They were doing, yeah.
Like this band Sonic Youth, you probably heard.
Yeah,
Sonic.
yeah.
They experiment so much, and I really got into that. Radiohead,
Yeah.
My Bloody Valentine,
Yeah,
Modest Mouse,
My Bloody
Pavement.
Valentine and their kind of wall of sound.
Yeah, very much so. I saw them live at the Aragon Ballroom 10 years ago,
Okay.
and it very much was a wall of sound. The guitarist Kevin Shields, well, I think I counted like 30 something amps on stage just for him. Guitar amps, like a wall of guitar amps, and they were angled away. Like if this is the lead singer facing the crowd, they were angled like this, pointed away, probably for feedback issues. Like I've never seen anything like that. And then the guitar player and bass player had like 2 amps each. But then this guy just literally a wall. If I was setting up his gear, I'd be like, this is so annoying.
And then you go, I have tickets to the Symphonic Orchestra in Montreal with one of my friends. We've been having those tickets for like 10 years. And it's, we buy like, it's not season tickets, but it's like 6 shows per season. So we buy those.
That's
pass.
awesome.
Yeah, and
It's
we go
nice.
together.
It's a good orchestra.
Oh man, it's one of the good,
Best
like it's
ones in the world.
on the big circuit in the world. You know,
like
in-
Chicago Symphony Orchestra.
Yeah, kind of.
Probably
So-
Boston Philharmonic.
So the Paris or London, so every big name in the world, different instrument, Lang Lang or Maxim Vengerov on the violin, name it, they come to. Like I've seen Philip Glass.
Nice. That's cool.
So yeah, and Martha Argerich, big name, and so yeah, and then you go to those kind, and there's not even a mic necessarily, like it's only the room of the place, and they do like maybe 10 years ago, maybe 15. They redo the place
The
for
acoustics?
for the orchestra. They build a new building.
Oh, wow.
And it's like the symphonic house, they call it, but in French it's la maison symphonique. And so yeah, it's all in wood.
Beautiful.
Inside, it's amazing. And yeah, we often buy tickets, and because it was old people before, or like that they were going there, and I read once that the main reason they're losing season tickets owner is because they die. Like the main reason, like 15 years ago. So they tried to do a renewal of the person coming in. So they were doing a lot of big deals for people under 35. So like my tickets with taxes were like $27, $26
That's
per
probably
shows.
not like that anymore, huh?
Yeah, it's kind of the same price.
Oh, it's not that bad.
But now I'm 35, so it's my last year. After that, I'm gonna
it's
play
more.
the regular price.
What's the normal price?
Honestly, I don't know. I'll have to check. But then those tickets were in the choir,
Okay.
so behind the orchestra.
That's better.
Like
It's just more fun.
You see the chef,
Yeah.
the maestro. You see him from the face and not
The
only-
chef, the
the
conductor.
No, the conductor,
the
yeah.
chef.
Oh, the chefs are. It's in French.
He's cooking the music.
Okay, that's the
funny.
French translation. Yeah,
What is it in French? A conductor. What do you call
un
that?
chef d'orchestre.
Say it again.
Chef d'orchestre. Orchestre in an orchestra. So it's a chef d'orchestre.
What does chef mean in French?
Chef? It's like a leader.
Oh, see, I always think chef. I think a cook. Head cook.
It's because it's the head cook. But a chef, you could be a chef in your at your job.
So
a chef, you
technically,
mean like
chef
you
should be-
boss?
it should be-
It's kind of a boss.
It should say chef cook.
Kind of,
technically.
yeah.
Technically, it would be
But
chef
it's a
cook.
but you it's a good name to say a chef could be also a profession.
I want to become a chef, so I could just be called chef. Chef.
But
Ben.
you could be the team chef.
Team
you
chef.
were my boss in my team. You'd be the team chef. So yeah, so it's the chef d'orchestre. So I translated directly to that. But yeah, so you see his face. You see his dancing, his movement, his expression. Often you know when it's gonna explode. Just seeing
He's
his
just shaking.
yeah, you're just seeing his face change, and also it's like that. It's a kind of a youth, not a complete you, but it's half a circle. And so you can be on the percussion side, which is very cool, seeing all those percussionists, and you can be on the horn side.
Did you ever want to play percussion for an orchestra?
I did an orchestra. I did it for harmony when I was in Cégep, but I had you have to play 2 instruments, and 2 first year on 3 it was classical percussion. I did a bit of Latin too, percussion, also conga, gueros.
Ever any marimba or xylophone? Vibraphone?
I did a lot of marimba,
Marimba's
but classical marimba though.
Okay.
I never did.
Where does that come from?
A bit,
Do you know?
bit.
Africa?
I don't know. Probably in Africa they have something. I don't know what it's called, and it's like it's like vegetable, like empty vegetable. Normally there's tube under a marimba, but this one is wood notes, but under that it's round. And it's an empty vegetable that they like, not a pumpkin, but
Like a gourd? Like a gourd?
Yeah, I think it's that exactly.
Like a squash or
In French we say gourde, so that gourde. Yeah, we could. It could be the same thing and different size, and so it's kind of a marimba. But I don't know if it is it. I don't know the origin, but it's similar. Yeah, I played a lot. You know what I mean? But that was my second instrument, so I learned pieces. I learned
marimba and vibraphone.
A bit of vibraphone. Yeah.
Are the 2 things that anytime I meet a percussionist or like a drummer, they play those. If they're like classically trained or jazz trained.
Yeah, but in my school it was like you had to. After 2 years I've chosen bass at the time. I'm not a great bassist that much, but I did a few classes of bass, but very very basic.
Do you play bass still?
No, and now I can just do a little guitar, a few chords, and for fun.
Does it feel weird to you playing guitar?
I liked it. One thing about my musicianship, like the musician I am, and I'm not the multi-instrumentist guy. I always play drums, percussion a little too, but on the rhythm. Not even the rhythm section, really, the rhythm guy, So then to learn different instrument, you see the song you're playing differently, I think.
Oh my God, yeah. So I couldn't agree more.
It's like if I could go back in time, I would no, you should play piano first, and then always play a little guitar, and that will help every musician so
Absolutely.
bad.
Piano's the number one thing. That's what everyone learns on.
It's the most complete in my way. My thinking. It's the most complete instrument.
Yeah,
you do
rhythm
the bass
and melody in one.
Yeah,
bass
and the chords and everything.
You do the foundation, the bass, and the
it's
voicing.
It's very visual too.
Every note is what you see. It's laid out for you to play.
Yeah,
gets good dexterity and kind of creates an ambidextrous feel where you have to learn both hands.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. I know it's really perfect. So that's a regret. Kind of, I have in my progression through music. I would have loved to play more. Like now, I can take an instrument and I'll be able to play a little something after a while. Like I have okay ears, and so. But I have friends that are. You see them like play guitar or play the drums, and you're like, oh, you're a good drummer. Oh no, I'm a pianist. you know, and they could play in a band, and they're super good.
It's always crazy that poly musician that could play many, or poly instrumentalist that could just do a bunch of instruments.
Yeah.
Like play 5-6 things. A good friend of mine, Jason, Matt knows him too. He can play a good amount of instruments. He's phenomenal and very fluent in upright bass. He plays in a bunch of different orchestras.
And what's his main instrument?
Upright bass.
Upright bass.
Yeah,
you mean big bass?
Yeah, double bass. Upright
double
bass.
bass. Yeah.
So upright bass or double bass.
It's because you did that. Like it was like upright bass.
Yeah, the bass. He plays the bass really well, but he also could play cello.
Okay, yeah.
And he owns all these instruments. About the name
cello, yeah.
Violin.
Oh yeah.
Guitar, electric bass, piano, harpsichord, organ, sirbahar.
Damn. Okay.
Yeah, sirbahar, which is the bass of the sitar and sirbahar.
Okay.
And I think a couple other things. I don't think he does any like woodwinds or brass, but everything else.
Damn,
like
impressive.
all strings,
Awesome.
like anything string. There's a string on it. Doesn't need a fret. Needs a fret. Doesn't matter because his ear training is so good. He plays all this stuff, and he's so good at all of them. I think he's really gotten great at upright bass and sitar, and pretty good at cello.
Nice.
Like he wouldn't consider himself. You know how people in that world, once you are that good,
You know how not good you are.
yeah. So he's like, I'm good at bass. Like ends there, even though he could play all these other stuff.
Yeah.
Me,
Oh,
as soon as I could play a synth, a couple chords, I'm like, yeah, I play synth.
yeah.
No, I don't really play synth. I mean, I've dabbled.
But I understand what you mean.
Guitars, where I feel
more
very
you feel
comfortable.
like you, and for a sound engineering, I'm sure you know that you don't know so many stuff. You know?
Yeah, I have no problem saying in a polite way what I know and what I can do and what I'm capable of, and I also have no problem admitting what I can't do, what I don't know, and what I'm not capable of. And an expert always should be someone who knows what they know and then knows when to pass the baton to a different expert that can finish that for you. If a student comes up to me and has a question, I will do everything I can to give them the most accurate answer, and I'll tell them like an objective thought, empirical data. Then I'll give them my opinions and subjective thoughts on it. Then I'll tell them what I might not know, and they need to maybe ask somebody else or look it up because I don't know the answer.
Yeah.
But like that's what...
It's very professional to do that.
Yeah,
that
you're
way.
supposed to. You're supposed to like, you know what? This is my. And if it's something is your opinion, you first we always need to know the difference, and an expert, a professional should. And then you always have to preface, well, in my opinion, this, and that. But you don't have to do it that way. It's just how I would probably do it. But maybe try this or combine both together. And that's how you're supposed to talk. And it makes you actually get smarter because then you can, when you verbalize out loud, not just in your head, but out loud what you don't know. Then you can, usually I like go home and I have research and I'm like, I need to, like when a student asks me a question and I don't know the answer, chances are I'm going to figure out the answer by the end of the day on my own research, a book, a YouTube video, Google, whatever, ask my roommate, whatever. So what's good about it is it preps you to keep learning. Yeah. Once you admit what you know and don't know, you can always keep learning and it gets better and better and it's more compounded. And the further linear you go through life, if you want to look at life as a linear path, the more you'll realize you always have to learn, but the less you'll have to learn because you've learned so much. The weight of the learning isn't so heavy. The burden of it. It's easier. And learning is a muscle. You know, when you keep learning and reading and listening and communicating and traveling and trying different cuisine and different music and different this and different fashion, it all gets easier and easier and better and better.
That was special for me because... You know, I've teach for like 7 years and a half, like 15 semesters, like I told you. So at my job, when I was teaching different level of person, you know, children, but adults or teenagers, some better, some less good, or new player. And but I was good at I was confident with what I was showing or my method that I developed, you know. So I have a certain level of teaching and things I was able to do. Then at the same time, I was doing my accounting, you know. So I did like university, like degree, then master, then the license. So you have a lot of study in a way. You're a specialist. You should be an expert, you know what I mean? But then you start in a firm and you don't know nothing. You know, you just have the school. So I was passing from music that I had less study, if you want, and I was like the master of my little domain, my little place. You know, I was teaching I was confident in what I was doing. I don't want to say master; it's not pretentious. It's just a way of talking. But and then I started my professional career that I was supposed, and I will go to clients and things like that, and I was supposed to know things like that. And it's I now being more more experienced, it's what I say to juniors, and I learned pretty quickly. It's like you don't want to feel dumb, you don't want to feel not unprofessional or things like that. So you sometimes don't ask enough questions, or you go back to your desk and you don't understand fully what you did. And for me, asking question is the contrary. It shows that the person is wise and you know and wish to understand or can like verbalize what they don't know.
What they don't know, which
and you know, so it's
important.
Makes
it's you more intelligent.
It's an important part of the process,
yes.
You know. So never feel like, oh, I'm in my corner and I don't want to ask that question. I'll feel stupid or anything. No, that's the contrary. But when it's done, be sure to have understand what the situation is, or the concept or anything.
I wish that idea was taught more at a young age. I learned that as I got older, but when I was younger, I made the mistake of being too nervous and too quiet to ask questions in class. I just sat there and didn't
probably
say anything.
that, like, how many person next to you had the same interrogation.
Everyone. So then no one says anything. And I deal with it now with my students when I'll throw something out there where there's really like no bad answer.
Yeah.
I don't even expect them to know. And like no one says anything. Maybe one student does. And these are people in their teens and 20s, 18 to 25. But I'm just like, no one really? And I'll try to make them laugh to get them feeling more comfortable. Like, are you sure like no one has a question? I mean, there's no wrong question. Like a lot of this material is subjective. We're like critiquing sound art projects. It's quite subjective. There's really nothing you could say that's wrong. And then finally they'll start to conjure up stuff. But I notice when one person does, and it's a good question and have a good answer, they start to get a little bit more excited and more feel confident to like jump on and talking. Especially when I realize people like games, even adults like games. I mean, clearly adults like games. Most people play video games are probably adults. Most people play board games are probably adults.
Yeah.
And students like them too. So sometimes you got to turn stuff into games. And the best game I came up with that I'm going to keep doing was this ear training game on trying to recognize what frequency a pitch is between 20 hertz and 20,000 hertz across our human hearing spectrum. So I'd play like a pure tone sine wave. Sine wave has no overtones; it's just a pure tone.
It's kind of to learn you how to do good EQs, or like
for EQ and the pitch recognition, exactly.
Because basically, for a friend, that, but maybe not good as you, but when something live happens and there's this high pitch sound, you have to react quickly to cut that frequency.
You have to cut it out. You have to attenuate it out because you
have to like
ear train
notice which
where
frequency.
It's at,
Exactly.
You might have a frequency analyzer that's going to show you stuff, but you can also do it by hearing. It's the same thing as the frequency analyzer is like almost having like a fret in the guitar. You know what note you're at. It kind of shows you. But someone who has a violin could still find that just by listening because they have ear training. You don't even need the fret. You can still get to that A. It's the same one on the guitar. Just one is slightly faster because it kind of leads you to where it's going to be, and that's what a frequency analyzer would do. But yeah, it was great for ear training, but it was fun because some were really good, and some I taught them, or they started learning tricks to figure out what pitch was based on if they had perfect pitch already, if they're musicians, or had like relative pitch. So this one student was really good with her ear training, and she's young, like 18, a freshman, and I played a note, and it was 400. And I told him I would only do, numbers, like even numbers, like 400, 500. I would never do like 337. It's like, wow, they get that. Just to simplify it. And
you said 39, sorry.
Sorry, it was 40, it's 39. And I played a 400 hertz tone, a sine wave, and I don't know, it'd be ooh, ooh, something like that. Mm-hmm. And she recognized that it was really close to a 440, which is a standard tuning.
Standard,
but wasn't quite a 440. It was a little flat.
She had perfect pitch one?
Close to it, I think. I think she can get A in her head, A440.
Yeah.
But you notice it was kind of flat. So she was like, well, if it's kind of flat, it's probably 400 because we're doing it between 400, 500, 600, 700, like all the way up to 20,000. So she guessed 400. I was like, yeah, how'd you know it? And she told me how. I was like, that's awesome. Keep that in mind and apply that to everything else we're doing. If it feels like the same note but higher, it's probably an octave, which just doubles the frequency, the hertz. Mm-hmm. So if it's 400, maybe it's 800 or 1600 or 32. Sure enough, she started getting them. She got like majority of the questions because she used that and applied it to the rest of them. And the other ones started figuring that, and other kids started trying to figure it out, like based on songs they knew the key of, try to see if they can match it to it, and then guess the number based on that. And it started working. And I was like, see, like there's so many tricks to how to figure out how to do this, music, physics, audio, and sound. They're all the same elk. They're all the same.
It's why I told you earlier, like when I was studying music, I had instrument, different, interpretation and things like that, but also, theoretical thing, like
theoretical.
Yeah, like the theory of music. And for me, it was just mathematics. Like I was pretty good at that because
You're pound.
it's yeah, but it's physics and everything can be counted. Like
Yeah.
the harmony, there's all the logic. It's it's note and half note, like So when you know how to build them, you can transpose them to any notes and
There is a
anything.
math
and
to it,
and
yeah.
and you wanna you take a single line and then you wanna make it a 4 line. There's just spaces between notes you have to respect, and I didn't have that much of a good ear at the time, and like I was able to have very good notes in that. I was not sure how it sounds, but I know it was working.
Yeah.
Like it respect the mathematical logic behind that, so it was good.
Yeah, no, there is a math to
so
it.
that was my way of. But a lot of the big talents, they know maybe the theory behind it, but they have the more feel about the harmony that I can have, and that's one thing because if I would have learned more piano earlier, things like that, maybe get to feel a bit more. I learned it more afterwards,
Right.
But people would get there, playing since the 3 or 4 years old, starting with the
They have
piano.
great pitch recognition.
Oh yeah, that was
Yeah.
super good.
A good friend of mine, we're working on her album right now, Fugudugu. They played DZ Fest twice. They're like they call themselves like a gypsy punk rock band from, they're from Moldova.
What's the instruments in the band?
Violin, acoustic guitar, bass, and drums with 2-3 vocals. And
nice.
she's the singer. Olya is from Moldova.
Okay.
Great singer, but she has perfect pitch. And she learned violin at 5, I believe. And she's 30 now, so she's been playing for 25 years. But she is immaculate on it. And it's an amazing thing. And it's wonderful to record and listen to and be a part of. And I've recorded a bunch of her projects. But there's a downside. The downside is she's so good at it and so particular and has such a good ear for it that anything that
doesn't match
fall into that very small acceptance of what you can allow.
It's annoying for her.
Annoy her, drive her crazy, has to redo. Which is, I mean, I don't mind. I just know what it is. Like, I'm not mad at it. I'm like, okay.
My ear tolerates more than that. Like,
I'm so lenient. I mean, I'm a sound artist at my heart. I play music, but within music, I'm creating sound art. And I've always been that way, atmospheric.
Yeah.
I could care less about pitch and rules and tones and rhythm. I mean, I enjoyed making up my guitar tuning so much that every song in Wilshire is in a different alternative tuning, none of them repeat.
Okay.
And then got really into time signatures. And then I started doing this, there's polyrhythms. But then I started doing this thing that it's probably happened, but I can't find it much. You might actually know. Where I called it poly measures, where the measures of everyone's instruments aren't lining up and they overlap at certain increments. Oh. I don't know. It was weird. And it took a while to get. Like, for example, say the guitars are playing in 6 and they do each bar, they do 4 measures in 6. So the bar is 24, but you do it 4 times. So you end up being at 96 across the whole thing. Yeah. But then the bass is doing 8 measures, but 5 times. So they end up being at 40 and then 80. And they don't ever really meet until you get way down the road. I don't even know what it'd be.
Yeah, it's a part of polymetrics.
Yeah, it's weird.
And polyrhythmic.
And when it's not working, they feel like they're swaying in and out, like they're like a battleship at sea, but they're still afloat. But then when they meet, when they come together, it's like one of the most resolved, pleasurable feelings you'll have as a listener, because it like you have some release of stress, and then the tension comes back. It's just weaving. And yeah, it's it's almost like if you ever listen to like Tool, the band Tool.
Yeah,
kind of like
a bit, not that much, but a bit. Yeah,
some of the stuff they do where they have like these like mind-bending riffs where you're like the drummer's playing.
The drummer
15,
is very very good.
Player's
in that,
playing and then 6, and then the bass player's doing like 3, and they're all meeting up at 60 Yeah, that'd be the next place they meet up is at 60.
Yeah,
It's crazy. And you're like,
Gary's such a good drummer. He's amazing.
he's
for that.
crazy drummer.
Oh yeah,
He makes that
really
band.
good. Really, yeah, really.
I mean,
good.
they're all really good at what they do, but he makes that band.
I'm not that big of a fan. It's a good band and anything,
Yeah.
but they're not that important in my
Sure, of
discography.
course.
You know what I mean? But I love watching those drum cam of Dan Carey playing the drums. It's so impressive.
He's a wild drummer.
With his basket shirt, like Boston or something, and just hammering his drum and all those technical measure and things like that.
technical.
And the
how he keeps
sound he
track.
has, oh man!
I don't know how you keep
And
track of that.
He just not keeps track. He's beating it like he's entering that
He's a
like a
big guy.
train. Like
He's a
you
big
know?
guy.
Oh yeah.
He looks quite fit to be doing that,
Oh yeah, no, he's a very impressive. That's a drummer in the rock scene that I really like to watch, and I have a lot of respect for him.
Mm-hmm. Same with, do you like Neil Peart from Rush?
Honestly, it's sad to say, but not that much. Like so much respect for him. He's an excellent drummer, very technical, very straight, precise, and everything. But he doesn't makes me feel things. I like Danny Carey's more roots. He's a more, I don't know how to say that, but the feel where he puts his rhythm.
Yeah.
Often the drummer that puts the rhythm too much in the middle. I call it the clock. You know that a beat is, if you check it with a microscope, is large.
How far are we zooming in? How many X are we zooming in on the beat?
But you know where it is. Where does it put it? At the start of the beat?
Yeah.
At the end? Where there's a gap.
Right.
And every drummer puts it naturally at a different place.
Yeah.
Some genius like Bonham could play different parts. Sometimes in front, sometimes more laid back, or sometimes even not the member at the same parts on the clock,
Mm-hmm.
But Danny Carey, he has a special way to comes in the beat on the clock, But guy like Neil Peart, in my opinion, they're in the middle. They're perfect.
Always.
They're in the middle, But for me, it's a bit cold.
Sterile.
Yeah.
Dead.
Like you
It's
listen
that metronome thing we were brought up earlier.
Yeah, same thing. A metronome is a bit cold, and
That's why I hate it.
where the groove, takes all his sense. It's when you play a little with
little off.
the wave
Yeah.
of the time. Are you pushing on the band? Are you holding back the band?
Are you rushing or dragging?
Yeah,
Have you
it's
seen
not
that movie,
rushing.
Whiplash?
Oh yeah.
That's what I was talking about.
Oh yeah. It's true. Yeah. I'm gonna throw you a cymbal, but, but yeah, man.
Not my tempo.
Yeah, and yeah, you're not rushing. You're pushing the band, but always at the same spot. Rushing is when you accelerate.
Mm-hmm.
A bit. You're not stable. You're rushing. But when you're always at the same place, like Elvin Jones, the jazz drummer, played with John Coltrane on
Maybe I
Love
have.
Supreme. It's
I just put that on.
Oh yeah,
That's what was upstairs.
Oh man, it's Elvin Jones.
That's what I put on.
Elvin Jones is.
That's so funny you just said that. Right when we came down here, I put
I
on a
haven't heard.
vinyl.
Oh, no.
So Matt was playing in a video game, and I put on a record for him to listen to, and I put on the Love Supreme by.
Oh yeah. Oh, you went intense while that.
Yeah.
So yeah, on that record and other, they did a few records together, and with McCartyner on the piano, and Elvin Jones is Africa for me. Like, he has this way of playing the drums that is, its roots is, you could see almost the fire and people dancing. Like, he has this way of hitting the drum that gets me. Like, there's something living. It's living right there. And people like Neil Peart, it's precise and everything, but I cannot see the fire, and it's a bit more cold. So I have a tendency to go to to be more closer to those drummer.
Yeah, kind of reminds you of. Do you know Steve Gatt?
Yeah,
He reminds you of
he
that.
has a special pocket too.
Yeah, he
Very
kind of
special pocket.
relaxed, but very precise.
Very
still.
smooth.
Yeah.
Very Well,
Yeah.
he's special.
What about like Buddy Rich?
It was a mix of speed and
His speed's crazy.
And he was hammering like
He is so fast.
He's a trained player, playing quite loud. You know, like the swinging is quite loud. Big cymbal, like the big band. You know, they were hammering on their drum. Those drummer, and so I like him for the technique, for everything. But in jazz, no, not my favorite drummer. Like Philly Joe Jones. Like that, less skills maybe, but a way to be part of the band that I prefer. But very different drummer. Then again, you cannot I really love Dave Grohl on the drum.
Yeah.
Oh, he's awesome drummer.
He's
an
a good
awesome drummer. He's pushing the band. You know, he has this way of like the song. It doesn't go faster, but you know, it's pushing a little. He's really, really good. He's really in the tradition of like John Bonham and some funk player too.
Yeah, John Bonham, yeah. He's a good drummer too.
Oh, an awesome drummer. Big mix between jazz and...
Absolutely.
At the start of
early Led Zeppelin for sure, you hear it.
Yeah.
The first 2-3 records, you really hear it.
So much energy, so much. If we take out all the skills or anything, just the way that, you know, the clocks, John Bonham, in my mind, is not, you cannot copy him. It's impossible. I am not able to place it, like all his members are not on the same clock.
Yeah. Yeah, all his appendages are doing different things.
His right is pushing, his snare is lay back, and his feet is pushing too.
How does that happen?
So it's make a large beat, because some of his, and not in every song, it depends. He could play a bit with that too, depending on the song, but that means that if his snare is there and his right bass drum is there, the beat is large.
Yeah.
On the clock. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So it's what that makes that feeling of drunkenness in
turmoil.
A way. And
it's like forward, it's moving forward, pulling backwards, sitting in
that.
the pocket all at the same time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's what makes this drumming so complex. Then he had some skills, he had some, some intention in his playing. Like everything that makes him great is a mix. But just for that, playing on the clock, he was very, very special.
Yeah.
And then you compare him to like Mitch Mitchell that was playing with Hendrix at the time.
Mm-hmm.
Mitch Mitchell, he way more jazz than Bonham even. Like he really, I don't know if he was playing in clubs like jazz club, but he has brush techniques. He has a lot of technique that are for jazz drummers.
I think I think it's Nick Mason of Pink Floyd.
Oh, maybe.
Do you know him?
Yeah, for sure. But I don't know if he came from that. In Mitch Mitchell playing on the album, it's clear. It's like he often do brush. Sometimes it's really the jazz technique for Mitch Mitchell. He's one that you can identify very quickly for that.
It was a really.
But in the case of Mitchell, when you hear his playing in comparison of Bonham, and amazing player Mitch Mitchell, but he's pushing the band. His playing is more. Everything goes more together. He's in the same part of the clock. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Bonham was more complex in a way.
Yeah.
And I don't mean in the playing itself. I mean how you...
The timing?
The timing of every stroke he made.
The execution.
Time, yeah, exactly. Mitch Mitchell was more close to some drummer. And Elvin Jones, I was saying, he had something like similar to Bonham on that. On the way of... being on the beat that is
just hovering,
like you cannot take it, you cannot seize it. It's like it's there, but it's many places at the same time. It's tough to play with those guys. I think that
was the most French thing you said this whole podcast. You're like, you cannot see it, you cannot touch it. It's just when you're like, so animated.
Oh yeah.
Who's a really underrated drummer that should be talked about more is Matt Cameron.
Matt Cameron,
Soundgarden, Pearl Jam.
Oh, okay, yeah.
Yeah, check him out.
I don't know about him that much.
You've heard of those bands, though,
yeah, for sure.
Yeah,
I don't know that much of those bands. A little, because I have one Pearl Jam album, and Soundgarden, I'm not sure if I have an album.
More. Check out Soundgarden. Start with like Bad Motive Finger and not Down the Upside, but Super Unknown.
There's more than Black Hole Sun.
Yeah, I mean, that's like every band when they have like
What?
like it smells like Teen Spirit. It's like there's way better Nirvana songs than
I
that.
know. I'm missing.
But he's such a good drummer.
Oh,
Super
yeah.
tight.
I'll check him out.
Really complicated. They're a big odd time signature band.
Oh yeah.
They might be one of the best bands I've heard to do odd time signatures and have it be very effortless. Like you don't know they're doing it.
It feels in the
You
song.
would every day people would be like, we just be like 1, 2, 3, 4, but no, it's like 11, 7, 15.
Oh yeah.
9. You're just like, what the heck?
I would have I think of this band for a special metric like band.
Of what?
Like special metric.
yeah.
I wouldn't have thought of Soundgarden. You know.
Soundgarden, yeah. Well, Soundgarden, they grow sound, so.
Yeah, like it's a classic Emerson, Lake and Palmer, Soundgarden.
yeah, exactly. Exactly, yeah. Man, it's been fun having you on here. You know how long it's been?
I don't know, man. Probably an hour and a half.
2 hours and 10 minutes.
What?
Isn't that crazy?
Oh yeah. It's easy to speak with you. You're a good guest.
Oh my God, it's not your podcast. You mean a good host.
My pleasure.
You're good.
So thank you to be at my Bending Brains with with Julien Fontaine, and we were having
being
Ben.
at my Bending Brains. You were a great guest, Ben.
Yeah, exactly.
That's so funny. Yeah,
But yeah, that was fun.
Yeah, we should do this again sometime. Next time you're in Chicago. I should come to Montreal and
You should.
we'll talk after this.
We'll have to do.
I have
Yeah.
ideas.
I have some good insight where you could be sleeping.
Without penis? Would I sleep without penis?
Oh, I can bring a penis if you want. I can bring him for sure.
Oh, it's a joke, people. It's someone's name.
yeah, exactly. Oh man, but yeah, he could be there. I'll call him if you want.
Oh my God.
So yeah, it has been fun. Thank you very much
Yeah, this
for
has been
having
great.
me. Yeah,
I learned a lot. You have a deep knowledge of music and percussion and accounting, although we didn't count much today, but
yeah, we'll talk about it. I'll do a little plan for you.
very interesting life and trajectory. You chose a lot of good routes, creative routes, safe routes, but risky routes. It's cool. I respect it. It's awesome.
Thank you.
And you guys were one of my favorite bands that ever played. For those listening, go on YouTube and type in DZ Records and then Mr. Mojo Rising. I believe 4 videos are going to pop up, maybe 3, 4.
The Mr. Junkie Tracks, which
Mr.
is live.
Junkie Tracks, it's like what, 10 minutes, 9 minutes,
12
11 minutes, 12 minutes?
Yeah, 12 something, I think.
A 12-minute, give or take, live song, which I didn't know was going to be that long.
Yeah.
You guys pulled a fast one on me. I thought I was getting to like a 5-minute rock song. They go 12 minutes, but it was worth it. So sometimes I get mad when a band does it when they don't warn me.
Oh yeah.
Because my camera stops, it shuts off at 13 minutes.
I would haven't thought to say that to you.
Gotta,
you know?
And also like so we can anticipate like, because when you're holding the camera like this, your arms get tired. So if you know it's 13 minutes, you're gonna kind of be more conservative. You know,
I haven't said sorry to any of you that night.
So what my second part, what I was saying is, I don't care when it ends up being an awesome performance, because then I'm like, I'm glad I caught this.
Yeah,
and it is by far
that was special. Yeah,
one of my favorite live performances I've ever captured. Let alone that show I put on was a great lineup. The poster is on the wall. I'll show you. Did you see it?
Not now, but I've seen it before. Yeah, I think.
And it was a legendary performance. And so go check it out. What's the name of the song?
So it's Mr. Junkie, Mr. And it's for Mr. Mojo Rising at DZ Records.
Yeah,
so,
Mr. Junkie from Mr. Mojo
there's
Rising.
an epic saxophone solo in that
guitar solo. Your drums hold it down. The bass.
Yeah, it's Alpinus. That's the bassist. It's Alpinus.
Dude, the singing on that when the guitar saxophone call and response goes on, and he's just like, he sounds like a elephant, screaming for like help.
Oh yeah. It was good. But thank you for that time you did that.
Oh, it was awesome.
We just drove from Montreal. We hadn't sleep in 40 hours almost. And we did that.
You guys were soaked in sweat. It was hot out.
Oh, it was.
We did a live session probably like the next day or something, and it was a good time. And then the time at Matt's wedding was fun too.
Yeah,
we had some good times together.
I'll be back.
Come back anytime. If you ever need a place to stay, I got air mattresses and futons, or you can say it mats, whichever works.
Yeah, exactly. Oh, you have a nice drum right there.
Yeah, we can have a jam session. We can make an experimental record.
Don't tease me like that. Like, oof, you get me in some places.
All right, Julien, thank you so much for coming here, all the way from Montreal, Canada. That's Quebec, everybody.
Yeah.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
Thanks, man. See you. Bye.
Take care. Ciao, everyone. Bye.